congratulations. This is not a job offer.
That's like literally like the first line.
Yeah.
It literally says, this is not a job offer.
I have them like all saved in my audition binder. It's just like, no.
Alrighty, welcome to yet another wonderful, great, talented, never seen before episode of New to the City. DeShane, tell me, how you doing?
Blessed and highly favored. Thank you for asking.
Okay, very good, very good. Alrighty, just to quickly start off, what are we drinking?
Oh, thank you, because I always forget now.
I know.
I am drinking an Aperol Spritz.
Fresh off Italy, France mindset here.
Honestly, we're talking about our audition stories today, so I feel like it is appropriate because I only drink these on a ship. So, yeah, this is me now.
I don't feel like I should be in your presence right now because I am drinking rosé.
Oh, no way.
I've kind of been on like a wine kick, but
have you ever had frosé?
Mm-mm.
It's like, have you ever had a wine slushie, like full stop?
No, I've never had one of them before.
They're so good. Caitlin and I had them for my birthday. We went to a vineyard, and we should try and make them ourselves.
Yes, we should. Oh my goodness gracious. That's a good like DeShane and Joey try. I feel like we need to have like a
series alert.
A little mini series. Yeah.
I am on a new kick of like spreading my adult wings.
Okay, fabulous.
I don't know if you noticed, but I make soup now.
I saw.
I have turned making soup into a personality trait.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. So I'm an adult who makes soup, and soup is so easy. Have you ever made soup before?
Yes.
Okay.
I love making soup.
It's like so gratifying because it's just ingredients. Like, that's why I was always scared of soup, because it's literally just ingredients, but all you do is put it into one pot and you just wait. And it's so easy, and it makes my self-esteem go like through the roof every time I have successfully made soup. It's my favorite thing ever.
I don't know if you like know this about me, but like I've been cooking since I was like 9 or 10. I love to cook. Like, my mom taught me how to cook. And
are you a MasterChef
basically
junior?
Pretty much. I mean, if I really look that young. Hopefully the retinol is working that well. Hey. But I remember the first time I ever baked was with baked. I'm such a child. The first time I ever baked was with my mother, and we baked chocolate peppermint cookies. And I remember being like 6 years old, like barely standing over the counter. And ever since then, like I've been cooking, and like it's hard because you didn't know that because we were on ships together, and you just can't, obviously.
Exactly.
But, oh my gosh, like I cook every night. Like I cook for Jacob, I cook for my family. Like I'm always cooking. I love cooking, and I like to think that I'm pretty good at it. But yeah. Like,
you and I made apple pie dumplings together.
Yes, we did.
And they were very good.
But
even then, I didn't realize that you were like, oh, this isn't a big deal. And I was like, this is a once in a lifetime thing.
No, I will, like, when we get to the UK and we're actually able to be in the same room together, I will be able to, like, I will cook for you all the time. I love cooking. Like, that's like my love language. I know we talked about love languages and all of that, but like cooking is my love language.
Oh my God.
Just because like I've always grown up around it. Like, my aunt married an Italian man when she was, I don't know, like 30 or something around there.
Of marrying age.
my great aunt. So I have always grown up with her, like, cooking everything for us. And, like, that's how she always, like, took care of us, was by cooking. And, like, my mom is like that. And, like, obviously being in a Jewish family, like, food is basically the religion. Right. So I've constantly, I always think of food as, like, love. And so I've always loved to cook because that's how I always was able to, like, Jacob getting home from work and me having food ready for him and, like,
table.
Being able.
It's Donna Reed night.
It is. But I guess like I've never like cooked in front of you, but yeah, I like absolutely adore cooking, and I like to think that I'm pretty good at it. So
yeah,
soup is like great because it is like that. Like you literally just throw all of your vegetables, you throw in whatever you want, and you just let it sit there. And like what's like the most work you have to do for maybe a soup is to blend it. Like
yeah,
that's it.
I
Love soups.
I feel like in some aspects of life, I'm ahead of the curve in like travel and experiences and like things like that. And some things that other people have dealt with for like since they were 18, I missed it, especially having the last 6 years of my life been on ships. So cooking is definitely one thing that I was, when like, how much you don't know about something, so it like makes you scared to ever try it because
it intimidates you.
Yeah. So I was like, I hate cooking because I don't know how.
It's really quite like once you like the thing is like following a recipe versus like just being able to kind of throw something together are two like completely different things. Like I think it's quite easy for anyone to follow a recipe as long as you can read English or whatever language you're cooking in. You should be able to follow the instructions.
In the cheese. You just fold it
in.
You just, David.
It's quite easy. It's quite simple. Like all you have to do is just follow the instructions. It's the same with like sewing. Like I'm teaching my mom how to sew and it's like, just take it a sentence at a time. If it says do this, then do that, then go on to the next one. Like, and by the time you know it, you have a full plate of food. Now cooking, just being able to like be like, oh, I have this ingredient, this ingredient, this ingredient. Let's just do this is, I think, a different skill on its own, The good thing about it is like I'm able to try a bunch of different things because like Jacob and I both like enjoy completely different. Like he likes meat, obviously.
Yeah, and so do you.
And so I. And I like a lot of like vegetables, mushrooms, that kind of deal. So I'm able to like kind of like mash the two of them together and like come up with a bunch of different things because I'm like forced to kind of make things for Jacob that I necessarily wouldn't cook for myself. So it kind of like pushes you to kind of try like different things. Now, Jacob and I eat everything. So it's really also easy because I'm able to like go to the grocery store and go to like, I don't know, like the yellow tags and be like, what's yellow tagged today? And like people who don't know what yellow tags are, they're like the clearance items that they put like either in Tesco or Sainsbury. I like going to that section because normally it's just like either vegetables or like they have normally sometimes some meatless options. And like it's so fun because you're able to go look at what's like on clearance and be like, I'll take this, this, and this, and I'll make dinner from that tonight. And that's like a lot of the time that's how like Jacob and I put together like our dinner for the night is he'll go pick up some yellow stickers and I'll create something from that. So it's fun. I find it like a little like adventurous every night,
That is fun. If anybody out there has a soup recipe that I should try, please send her over because you can't make soup in the summer. I guess you could make like gazpacho or something, but like soup is a cold weather.
I don't want to eat cold soup. I don't get that whole thing.
The gazpacho deal. Oh my God. So did I tell you that I'm making dinner for my roommates tomorrow night?
You did.
So we do this international food night every week. And so we've done Doug made Greek for everybody and we watched Mamma Mia. And then last week Fiona made Indian for everybody and we watched Slumdog Millionaire. So tomorrow
let me guess what you're making.
I was like, I've been to Mexico so many times. I feel like I have been immersed
a grasp
in the culinary, like, give me some fucking sour cream. We know how I feel about sour cream. And then we're going to watch Coco, which I'm so excited about. And I'm going to make margaritas. I found plantains. I'm going to fry up some plantains. I'm going all out for this. I'm so excited. It is either going to be...
I feel like you're going more like Hispanic South American rather than just like purely Mexican, which is great. We love that.
I've evolved the Mexican cuisine into something that is different. But they're fucking English. They don't know the difference. I tried to order Mexican food while I was in quarantine, and it was disgusting. And I was like, I make way better Mexican food than this, and I haven't ordered any since, which is not like me. Like, I fuck with the Chipotle, but the Chipotle around here doesn't deliver, and we're in a lockdown, and it's probably not even open. So I am my own Chipotle. Yeah,
that's very true.
That is the wisdom. That is the takeaway from this episode. Be your own Chipotle.
Be your own Chipotle.
But yeah, so I'm excited for tomorrow. It's going to be bomb, and I'm going to get litty titty in the city.
I also miss like our...
I just got so excited from my pun.
My roommates... or shall I say flatmates? Sorry, I need to like switch my vernacular now.
Oh, do I have to say flatmates?
I think so. Otherwise, you're going to be kicked out of the UK.
Oh.
Our flatmates, we watch horror movies together, and I miss that so much. Like, I miss like that kind of just like sense of, and I think maybe now that you are a part of it, you feel it, like that, like, just like that group that like you're able just to kind of like be a part of. Like we were talking about this before you even moved of like, it's really good to have like kind of just like a group of people that you can choose to spend your nights with if you want to. It's a lot of fun, and it's cute, and like it makes you feel so like involved and starting to like immerse yourself into being a citizen of the UK, you know?
Yeah. And it's like having a home away from home, like a place where you belong, which is so important. So
Jacob and I have officially applied for our visa. Everything has been submitted.
Oh my God,
Submitted. Everything is officially submitted. Money has been sent. Like the only thing we have to wait for now is our biometrics appointment, which we thought was going to be within a few days, and it ended up being 3 weeks. But it's like the last step. So like I can only, like when we first found out, it was so like heartbreaking.
I know.
Like we sat there and it was just like, we got our appointment and it was March 3rd, and we were like...
It was like the last thing that anyone expected to happen. Like that we were not concerned about the biometrics appointment.
Nobody was. We were all... And like the thing is like I kind of prepared Jacob for that as well. Like I was like, don't worry, we're going to get an appointment. And then the lawyer turned around and was like, yeah, it's going to be 3.5 weeks. And we were like...
So question, is it 3.5 weeks because like so many other people are trying to get their fingerprints taken?
I don't know if it's because of coronavirus and they can't take as many people in a day. I don't know if it's this particular, like, because we have to go to a very particular center. Like the lawyer has instructed us and is like basically signed us up for what we paid for a specific company and center to get the biometrics done. And I don't know if like there's multiple countries. I don't know if like there's multiple like law firms that are sending people there. Right. I don't know how many people they can take in a day. So, but at the end of the day, like this is like the last thing. Like this is the last thing that I physically have to do to fucking get this visa. I swear to God, this whole process has thrown me against the wall probably about 10 times, and I am tired. I am so tired of like, it's just like getting your hopes up and getting let down. What do they say? It's all about the journey and not the destination. But like, fuck that. No, you know what? This is about the destination, and the journey has just been an absolute fucking nightmare. And you know what? Like, it's really been such like a testament to, I think, like a test on Jacob and I's relationship as well, because not only is this now the longest we've been apart ever, but it's also, I think it's also like probably one of the most emotionally testing between the two of us as well. Like for us having to work as a team, like there's no other option of us having to figure out how to tackle this together. And it's been difficult. Don't get me wrong. Like we've had our moments, but I think for the two of us to actually have been able to work together, to communicate together, to figure out how to communicate better, to trying just to kind of keep each other's hopes up. It's like been like an absolute fucking like war of us against us trying to get our visa, and like having like days of me being like, well, fuck this, I'm over this, and Jacob being like, no, you're not, we're gonna get there. And then days of Jacob being like, this is fucking hard and I don't want to do this anymore, and me having to be like, we just have to persevere, we're almost there. And I know that we're going to look back on this experience and be like, I think this is like definitely going to be the hardest thing we're ever going to have to go through.
I'm like so emotional. Just like, it's been such a long road, and like I'm so proud of you for like keeping your shit together for the most part, and like keeping your eye on the prize, and like just it's so inspiring because it's not easy, and it's not like, and they do that on purpose because it makes it easy to break something that's not like meant to be, you know what I mean? And I'm just so like, I don't know. I was not expecting to get emotional about that, but I'm just like so excited. And I'm mostly so excited that like you're going to be here so soon and like we can start our lives together.
I know. Yeah, it's been crazy. And I think especially with like, I think we saw how easy yours was, which is great. Like I always say, like, I'm so happy that only one of us has had to go through this and not two of us. But like just seeing like the difference of how different it was for us to get our visas. Like I think that's such a testament to why we started this podcast in the first place. And it makes me so proud. I think of what we've done so far and what people have listened to, and knowing that like your experience is going to be unique, and here was your experience, and here's kind of like what you had to go through, and here's my experience, and here's what I've had to go through, and people can look at that and take what they can from both of us.
So I guess I know that you and I have heard each other talk about these specific stories in Backstage Tour, like over and over and over again.
Correct.
But I'm so excited to like be able to talk to you about it without having the umbrella of being a Royal Caribbean dancer sitting in front of a bunch of guests, you know, kind of
correct,
filtering
not being able
through.
to say what you want to say.
Exactly. Yeah. And I know that our stories are very, very different.
They are. You can go ahead and tell me all about it.
Okay.
So DeShane.
So I decided that I wanted to dance on cruise ships when I went to Italy on a short-term study abroad when I was in uni. And it was my very first time going to Europe, and I fell in love with Italy. I went to Florence, Siena, and Rome. And it was over like 2 weeks, and I was just literally in love. And I was like, I need to figure out a way where I can dance and travel at the same time. And obviously cruise ships was like the perfect thing. And so I was like, okay, well then what's the best cruise ship company to work for? Like, and then I did my research, because you know how I like to do my research. And
you made your lists.
Yeah. And Royal Caribbean, I mean, hands down in terms of like quality of shows and like talent and things like that. And I was like, great, well then like I'm going to work for Royal Caribbean then. And so over the course of a year and a half, I think, I auditioned for Royal every single time they came to New York. I was in Philly at school, and I would after I graduated and everything, I would wake up at 4, get the bus at 6 from Philly, get to New York by 8, go sign in, audition from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then I would run, get the bus home, and go and close at work. And I did that all the time. And the most annoying thing for me was I never got cut from a Royal Caribbean audition. I stayed from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. from like
every time
250 people all the way down to like 12. But I never actually got the email saying that I got a job.
So like explain that. Explain like getting to like the end of an audition, but not necessarily getting the job.
Okay, so
Triggering.
So,
I know.
I know, right? So you go through different rounds, and everybody if you sign up, you get to audition. That's just like how it is at a cruise ship call. And you go in groups of like 50 or something, and then you learn a combo, and then you wear like a little number that they give you, and then they say the numbers they want to stay, and then it whittles down and down and down and down and down. You learn more choreography, different styles, all the things, and eventually you get down to a very, very small number. And at the end of the day, you fill out like a contact form with your email and like when you would be available to potentially start working, and if you have a passport, all these things. And then they hand you a sheet of paper that says, "Congratulations, this is not a job offer."
That's like literally like the first line.
Yeah.
And like it literally says, "This is not a job offer."
I have them like all saved in my audition binder. It's just like, no. I haven't and I still have some of my numbers saved as well. But yeah, basically it's like you've been put onto a list, and like in this elusive list that they have, if they have an opening that they want a new hire to fill, then they'll look in this list of people and maybe one day you'll get a call, which is so much worse than just getting cut. Like, I can confidently say that because it happened to me so many times. And if you get cut from an audition, you know you're not getting the job. Like, on to the next, you can focus on other things. Every time I got an email to my phone, I would like have an aneurysm because I just never knew if something was coming,
if it was going to be royal.
Coming. It was so nerve-wracking, and it literally got to the point like I auditioned for the same panel of people so many times that I would come in and they'd be like, "Hi, DeShane, how are you?" Like, and I was like, "I'm fine, Patrick. Like, how are you?" Like, fine enough to hire me. So basically I was auditioning and auditioning and auditioning. I auditioned for other
cruise lines.
I auditioned for like everything. I auditioned in the aerial call. I auditioned for musicals. I auditioned for general calls. I auditioned for Azamara. And when you get to the very, very end of the Azamara audition, you have an actual sit-down interview because the dancers on that ship are basically crew staff. So they have to make sure that you can like be engaging.
Interact. Right.
Evidently not engaging enough because did not get that job either. And anyway, so
how many times in total did you audition before you actually got an email?
I say 12, but I don't actually know the real number. But like it was a full year and a half of going to every single audition. I think I missed one out of...
And they go to New York quite often.
Quite often. So then my lease in Philly was coming to a close. And I was like, you know what? This clearly like is not like where I'm meant to be, what I'm meant to be doing. I'm going to move home, save up my money, get a visa, and move to Scotland. It was like a very weird plan, but that was my plan. And
that's okay.
I packed up all my shit, moved home to New Hampshire, and 3 days after I moved home, I got a phone call from Patrick, the casting director, and he was like,
"What's up?"
I'll never forget this like fucking phone conversation. He was like, "How are you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm so good. Like I've never been better. How are you?" And he was like where are you now? Like, what are you up to? And I was like, "Oh, I moved to New Hampshire, like back home with my parents." And he was like, "Well, are you still taking classes?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, like I've never taken more classes in my life. Like I'm so
I'm like always dancing.
I'm going to Boston constantly to like try." And he just kept he just asked me like 6 questions, and I was lying so
freaking
aggressively. I was like, "Yeah, no, like I'm just like still like."
The funny thing is, I can see you on the phone, like sitting there, like
pacing,
eyes bulging out of your head, pacing, being like, "Yeah, I'm okay, great. How are you?"
Can I tell you, like, you are not supposed to get a phone call. You're supposed to get a like an email. No, you don't talk to anybody. And suddenly, I was having a phone conversation with the head of casting, And he was not telling me why he was calling. He was just asking me how I was and asking me if I was afraid of heights. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So then he goes, so we've been watching you for a really long time, and I've been waiting for something that is right for you. And I am like, it's my pleasure to offer you this contract. And I was like, oh my God.
Crying.
Just, yes.
Yeah.
And I was
sobbing.
like, I would love to accept. But how nice is that? So like, I went to so many auditions, and you just like feel invisible. And he literally said to me,
you literally feel like a number.
Yeah. And he was like, we have been watching you and just like been waiting. And that could have been a lie. But in my version of my story, he meant every word.
It's your own reality. You can create whatever reality you want.
Everybody else is just living in it. And so my very first contract was as an aerialist. And the very first thing I was doing was flying to London to sign on to the ship, to do night rehearsals for a week, and then signing off in Finland, and then flying to Miami. And I was like, somebody is fucking with me, and it's not funny. Because
so also that's not normal. So explain that as well. Why you went to the ship first to do night rehearsals.
Right. So aerialists, how it used to be was you would go to the ship and learn the aerial choreography, the aerial shows on the apparatus. And you would have to do night rehearsals because the venues were being used during the day because the ships were still in service. So you met like the cast that was still on, the cast that you were about to take over from, and it was wild. I would work from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. And so when we were finishing and doing our very last workout of our shift, people were like having breakfast. So basically like a dream come true. I immediately hang up and call my mom. And as she did when I got accepted into performing arts college, she did not answer her phone. And then I was like, I don't know what to do. So I ran downstairs to the basement and I was like, Dad, like I got a job. And I was crying. And then my father started crying. Like he was so proud of me and like so happy for me. And he just started crying. And then I was like, cause it's my dad. And you know my dad. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on? So both my dad and I were crying. And then I was basically like, I had a month, I think, before I left, and I had to go and get my medical done and all that stuff. But I refused to let my parents tell anybody because I was convinced that they were going to tell me that they had made a mistake and I wasn't going. I was like, until I get my medical approved, no, you don't get to tell anybody. And so they were like, until I told them it was okay. And then I finally went and started my journey.
Yeah.
The rest is history. It was such like validation. Like you spend your whole entire life being like, well, one day, like if I'm good enough, then I can be a professional dancer. And I remember the first time I wrote what my profession was on like a tax form or something. And I wrote dancer and I was like, this is just insane.
This is it.
Yeah. Oh, so tell me about your audition experience.
So, to start off, I went to 1 year of college, 1 year of university as a dance major in Massachusetts. I grew up in Vegas. And so I wanted to get the fuck out of Vegas as soon and as far as possible. So I chose the other side of the country, and I ended up going to the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. And I went for a year and absolutely fucking hated it. I hated the thing is like I love learning. I love picking up new things. I hate feeling forced to like learn something and to be a part of something that I don't want to be a part of. So I was taking math classes, I was taking biology classes, I was taking like things that I didn't want to do at that moment. and I felt like I had to, and it was just like wasn't. I was a dance major, and I was like, why the fuck am I taking all these courses when my major is dance? And so I said, fuck this. I don't want to do this. And so I ended up going back to Vegas after my first year of college. And I enrolled in university there. So I enrolled in the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV, as a dance major as well. And I was there for about 2 months. And I remember the moment, the THEE, the moment of me sitting in math 112 honors or something like that. And we were learning parabolas again. And I said, fuck this. I am getting a job, and I am getting a job as soon as fucking possible. And that day I walked out of math class. I went to the library. I sat down and I typed out auditions for dancers. That's it. I wanted any audition that I could get. And there was an audition for some new show coming to Vegas, and I went to that, and I ended up getting to the end, and I ended up getting like kind of like a job offer, but it was like for a few months in the future, and I was like, okay, this isn't good enough. And I saw that Royal Caribbean was auditioning, and I had been on a few Royal ships, so I was like, I know that the shows are good. I know that like at least it's something. And I said I can travel, basically all the reasons that anyone auditions for cruise ships. You're performing, you're traveling, all of that. And they were auditioning in LA, and they were auditioning like I think it was like in 2 or 3 days time. Not enough for me to get my shit together and to go. So they said, if you aren't able to make it, please send in a video. And that night I was like, okay, what do I need to do to get a video together? I messaged one of my really, really good friends back in Vegas, and I said, you have a video camera, right? And she goes, yes. And I go, meet me here, here, and here. And I sat down 20 minutes, and I was like, here's all of the combinations that I need to do, like turns, Batmas, like any like pure jazz technique. I put together 2 combos. I put together a lyrical combo and a jazz combo, and I said that should be good enough. They should at least get a feel of what kind of dancer I am from this. Went home that night. I got the video footage, and I put the whole thing together because I was like, I need to get my video in before they go on audition. For some reason in my head, like they hold how many fucking auditions? They hold hundreds of auditions. But I was like, this audition, I need to get my video in before. Like they need to see me before they see anybody else in LA.
Like there's a joey-shaped hole that they're looking to fill, and I need to be the one to fill it.
And I need to be the one. So I went home and I stayed up until like 4 o'clock in the morning editing the video together. Trying to like make sure that the audio worked, trying to layer things, just trying to make sure it looked as best as possible in as little time as possible. And I sent it off. I went back to class the next day, back to like my dance class in university. And I remember it was a ballet class. We went to ballet, and I was walking in between my ballet class and I think an English class. And I remember getting an email, and it was from JP, like directly from JP. And I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And he was like, thank you for your video submission. We watched your video. We think that you have potential. We just want to see something a little more contemporary, urban, like basically like kind of what you think of like what the Quantum show would be, like more urban, more like not so heavy in technique, still showing off what I can do, but a little more like not so like by the book technique. And I was like, remind you that the audition in LA was the next day. And I was like, I turned to one of my friends, Molly, who shout out to Molly because we put together a combo. If you know me and you've been in rehearsals with me, you know that picking up choreography is not my strong suit. I don't pick up choreography well. I don't pick up choreography very quickly. And we went to the studio that night, and she came up with a combo on the spot to Michael Jackson's PYT. And anytime I hear that song, it always brings me back to me fucking freaking out of me wanting to get my job. And
because you had to get it in before the audition.
Because I had to get it in before, and it was like the next day. So I was like freaking out. I was like, and she was like, she taught me it, and I wasn't really picking it up all that much. I was like, and she was like, like we can do it tomorrow. And I was like, no, we are not going to do it tomorrow. We're going to stay here until I get it right. And I I mean, we stayed there for probably about 3 hours until I actually got it. And I put together, I remember doing it, and I remember being like, that's it. That's it. We're stopping now. That was the take. That's what we're going to submit. So I went home, put the video together, and I sent it off at about 11 o'clock at night. Meanwhile, knowing that JP could see that it was 11 o'clock at night. And I was like, you know what? Like, at least that shows dedication. At least it shows, and like, it was like that morning to that night, I got my video in, from the email to the video being submitted. And at that point, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's not going to be good enough. Who knows? Maybe I'll never hear back again. I don't know. So I had school again the next day, and I remember driving, and if you know me, I hate being late. Being late is like, we talked about it before.
Yeah.
So I would always drive to school because it was about 20 minutes away, and I'd always drive to school about an hour before, and I would sit in my car for half an hour just so that I wasn't late, because I hate being late. It sends me fucking crazy. So I remember sitting on my phone, and I remember just like scrolling through Facebook, and all of a sudden, ding, an email comes dropping down, and it says, congratulations, here is your offer. And I read it, I opened it up, I saw it was from JP, and I started bawling my eyes out, crying. I was like, what the actual fuck just happened? And I open it up, and it's like, obviously, like, you know what the email consists of on our when they offer you a contract. It's like, congratulations, here is the ship, here are the dates, here is like your itinerary, all of that. And I was just like reading through it in just like absolute disbelief, because like you said, like, it's just like that moment. I remember sitting in my little Honda Civic in the UNLV parking lot, crying my eyes out. And I'm pretty sure there was someone who walked by me in the car, like me, just like crying. But I was like, holy fucking shit. So I basically got my job within about 72 hours, which is like kind of unheard of. But also coming to find out that Enchantment, the ship that was my first one, their rehearsals got delayed. So I think what ended up happening was they were looking for people to fill the Enchantment contract as soon as possible, because there were probably some people who couldn't do it anymore. But at that moment, forever sitting in my car in the UNLV parking lot is forever stamped in my brain, because I just remember sitting there and being like, holy fucking shit. Like, all of the work, all of the stress, everything that I've been through to call myself a dancer is actually coming true. Speechless, like absolutely speechless. So I ended up calling my mom. I was crying. She was crying on the phone. I went into class that day, and I was like, I'm leaving. December.
Fuck your parabolas.
Fuck your parabolas. I ain't doing this shit anymore. And I literally told my mom, I was like, I'm not going to class anymore. There's no point for me to. So I went to my counselor, and I was like, listen, I got a job. And they were like, okay, great. We'll stop your classes. And I spent the next month getting my shit together in order for me to fly off to Miami. And I flew to Miami. It was like, I was like one of the first. It wasn't like the first round of casts, but I was like kind of like the second round of cast that just moved to Bay Vista. It was like pretty brand new. But yeah, that was it all happened so quickly that I didn't even really have like time to like process what the hell was happening. It was like from 0 to 100 in about 3 days. So completely different to you.
Honestly, I am the only person that I know that has the type of story that I have, but it's fine.
But yeah, that was my audition story.
Let me ask you this. What would be your like top advice for somebody who is going to an audition and wanting to be successful, or submitting a video audition and like wanting to be successful? Because I have absolutely no idea.
I have a few things. I think number one is like your worth is not dependent on you getting the job. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you're just not right for the job. Number two, I think, is like just be yourself. I know how disgusting that sounds, and I know how like just be yourself, but like it's true. Like you are the only person who is like you. You offer a very unique perspective into how you interpret choreography and how you perform choreography.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people who are the most uniquely themselves on stage are always the people I watch. I think bringing your unique self to the choreography is what's going to make you stand out. Don't try being like everybody else. Don't try doing the choreography like someone else is doing it. Obviously do the steps, but be able to infuse a bit of yourself into everything that you do, because that's what's going to make you stand out, and that's what's going to make people want to watch you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think people who aren't in our industry, they don't realize really how much it makes you question everything about yourself, because our industry is so based on comparison. And I mean, especially for women, we're like a dime a dozen, you know what I mean? Like if you don't, I mean, that's part of the reason why I kept my hair red. I mean, I like my hair red, but also they only hire one redhead for every contract. And I was like, well, there's less
Correct.
of us. So like, I'd rather have red hair than be like a blonde, like every other bitch. But it's weird because it makes you think about those things. Like it makes you think about your appearance in a way that makes you marketable. Whereas that's not normal. That's not like a thing. You know what I mean? But I think the biggest thing that helped me, I'm not very good at auditions. I mean, fucking obviously. But the thing that helps me the most is knowing that I am finite and no one else is me, and that is my superpower, and believing it. Like it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to actually believe it and know that like you are special just because that you are you and nobody else is you, and that is the best thing that you can offer. But it's so hard to like have confidence in yourself when you're in a situation where everybody in the room, their job is to judge you. Like that is fucking scary. But hopefully now, because of, you know, like pandemic of the seas, it's like all video auditions from now on. So like just dance in your living room and who gives a shit.
But I also think that's something that you can apply to your living room as well, is like you are, and like it's constantly about comparing yourselves to other. You're always looking around. You're always saying who's better than me, who has what I want, who doesn't have what I want. Like you're constantly like looking at other people. But like I said, at the end of the day, like being you is the most important thing. The audience has absolutely no idea what your technique is like. No one gives a shit if your leg is at 85 degrees or if it's at 90 degrees. They want to see, and I think it's the same with auditions. Like, yes, I'm sure there are people there. I'm sure there are casting people who are looking at your technique, but at the end of the day, they would much rather take someone who is able to maybe not perform the choreography as perfect as they can, but someone who brings performance and who brings something
Compelling.
Special.
Yeah.
Right. That makes you want to watch, whether they're kicking their face or whether they can't. It doesn't matter because you want to watch them.
On a less like broad scale, as speaking as a former dance captain, if they ask for like a double pirouette, just do a double pirouette. Nobody gives a fuck if you can do 4 if they're asking for 2. Like nobody wants to be that girl from center stage who's like, oh, I thought there was enough music for 3. No, like all that tells me if you do 4 when there's supposed to be 2 is that you want attention and you will sacrifice the integrity of the choreography to get it.
Right.
So
there's a balance. There's definitely a balance to be had. Like don't fucking go off and do whatever the fuck you want to do. That's not what I'm saying.
Right. That's not
like,
what professional dancers do.
No, but professional dancers are able to take the confines that they're given and find magic within that.
True words have never been spoken, Joseph.
You're very welcome.
Of the seas. Okay, you guys, we hope that you liked this episode. If you did, please rate us 5 stars, leave a review, subscribe, do all the things. Make sure that you don't miss any new episodes coming out. We drop a new episode every single Tuesday. Also, make sure that you follow us on all of our social media. Joey, what is our Twitter?
Our Twitter is New to the City. That's New to the City. Make sure that you spell city. CiTea, honey.
That's right. Also, we have a Facebook page, YouTube page, and an Instagram. All of that is New to the City Podcast. Again, that is CiTea. And if you have any audition, like blooper stories, horror stories, fun stories, boring stories. We want to hear all of them. So email us at newtothecitypodcast@gmail.com. Again, that is CiTea. Okay? 5, 6, 7, 8.
Bye.